You're so right. Welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi. How are you guys doing? I hope it's a beautiful morning because it is in my country. It's shining, not so much. I think the levels of warming have actually reduced a little bit, and that is good news. Welcome back. Smash the like button, guys. Do subscribe to the channel, and I need your comments as well. We're going to be running through the stories around Arsenal today. Probably it's the Breaking Arsenal Story Show. And later in the day, I'll try to expound on Mikel Arteta's press conference because today is Thursday, and we have to do it ahead of the Saturday early kickoff against Burnley. I will also talk about Odsonne-Edouard and Tariq Lamptey either today or tomorrow, but I think I'll talk about Odsonne-Edouard today because Arsenal did make contact, and we're going to be discussing that and more in this edition. So basically what we are going to do in this one is try to collect and gather much of the stories, what is happening around Arsenal, especially written in those most of the fraudulent publications man has ever seen. Starting with Corriere dello Sport, Alexander Lacazette had decided not to renew his contract with Arsenal. Roma, Atletico and Monaco are interested in the Frenchman. So I think now we know the future of Alexander Lacazette. It has been a little bit vague. Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna be offered a new contract? And so many questions asked around there. But I think with that kind of story, now you know the future of Alexander Lacazette has been decided. He's not going to be staying at the Emirates Stadium, and the man to replace him is Odsonne-Edouard, according to reports. Of course, there are a couple of other strikers linked with Arsenal. You know, Thiago Silva. Did I say Thiago Silva? But. And for me, the truth is, I would want to see Alexander Lacazette flourish, but away from Arsenal. I don't think he's going to be providing the striker material we want. I don't think he's going to be providing that kind of competition to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I don't think he's going to provide the assurance that he is the striker we can back on for the next 5 years. So I think the time he spent at Arsenal, he's been a very good servant, although I think his career is a flop. And many people disagree with me when I say Alexander Lacazette is a flop because he has been scoring the 9 goals, the 10 goals. Lacazette was a high-profile striker that was meant to score 15 goals and above per season. Being the fact that he has not met those expectations, and he was meeting them at Lyon, for me, cause for me to call him a flop. But what do you think? Do you think he's been a flop? And what do you think on his decision not to sign a new contract at Arsenal? Now, Calcio Mercato are saying that Arsenal is targeting Frankfurt striker Andre Silva as a replacement of Alexander Lacazette. I was talking about Andre Silva, not Thiago Silva, but there's so many players that we have been linked with, I think, especially, as strikers in the past 4 weeks. Odsonne-Edouard, Patson Daka, Andre Silva. We did talk about Erling Haaland as if we could actually sign him, but he was, that was there. Ole Watkins and a couple of others. But the truth is, I have a bias with players coming from Germany these days, especially the strikers. It seems like it takes so long for them to click, or they might never even click. If you look at players like Timo Werner, look at players like Kai Havertz, look at players like I want to believe that these are very good players because when they're down in the German Bundesliga, they are giving the goals, they're banging goals, they're putting balls behind the net. But at some point in time, I feel, there is a big difference. There's a big gap between the Premier League and German football. And this is not to disrespect German football. They produce a lot of quality talent. They produce a lot of quality players, in there, out there. But I think there's a big, huge difference, a huge gap between German football and the English Premier League. I think you need to work a little bit, harder in the Premier League than in the in the German Bundesliga, and that's why some of the players actually come this side and they fail. But maybe we shall discuss Andre Silva if those reports get serious. We shall have to do a tactical review about him there. Now Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal are monitoring closely the performance of Tariq Lamptey, and the situation is very, very, very tense because one, Everton is interested as well. Of course, Everton being interested in Max Aarons as well. So if they fail to get Tariq Lamptey, they will be going for they'll be going for Max Aarons, and Arsenal have just confirmed that they need a right back. I think Hector Bellerin, even if he doesn't leave in the summer, we need to get a right back. He's not good enough. As simple as that. And for me, I told you, whenever you have a player who is just not good enough, it's time to replace them. That is how you're going to become competitive. That's how you're going to be a better club, by adding to the quality you have, upgrading the quality. Bellerin is not good enough. Cedric is not good enough. Ainsley is not good enough. You need a right back who's just good enough. And you're talking about players like Tariq Lamptey, who's just 20 years of age, very good player. He's playing at Brighton, and you've seen how good he is at Brighton this season. And there is a chance. I don't want to say this, but it's sarcastic, but there is a chance that Brighton could get relegated. I know, however, however degree of sarcasm I'm using, but if they get relegated, we could get Tariq Lamptey at a very, very cheaper deal. And for me, that makes a lot of sense. So I totally agree with Arsenal. You need to go. I don't mean it's only Tariq Lamptey, although he's been dominating the media around this deal. But I think if you are going to get a striker, you need to get your defense fixed as well. You need to feed these strikers, and fullbacks these days, are points where creativity rotates around them. If you don't have good fullbacks, you might actually not create chances. And United, fans will tell you that about Aaron Bissaka. Very good defensive wise, but going forward, he's hell. So Tariq Lamptey being monitored by Arsenal. That's according to Fabrizio Romano there, and he did say for sure next summer we can expect something big for him. Arsenal are looking at him as a possible option at right back. Keep an eye on Arsenal because they are among the clubs interested in Tariq Lamptey. And he did say as well that on Arsenal's interest on Lamptey, there is still nothing advanced, there is still nothing signed, nothing serious yet, but they are looking at him. He's one of he's on the list. He's considered as an interesting player, so Arsenal will decide the future in the coming months. So we shall actually hear more of Tariq Lamptey in the coming months. That is according to Fabrizio Romano. Now, according to Tuto Juve, they are saying that Juventus will be willing to offer Adrien Rabiot or Douglas Costa in exchange for Hector Bellerin to Arsenal. That is in the summer. What are your thoughts on that? We wanted Adrien Rabiot as a holding midfielder in the summer, last summer, but we actually didn't go for him, or we failed to go to a great deal with Juventus. And finally, the good side of it is we signed, Thomas Partey in the end. But yeah, I know Bellerin needs to leave. He has already made his point clear that he wants to leave, and I'm going to shoot a whole video, 10 minutes or 12 minutes, about Hector Bellerin and his replacements, and why I think he must leave Arsenal, and why I think we shouldn't disrespect him however much we want him to go. But I don't want a cash plus a player. And look at these two players. Adrien Rabiot, I don't see him as a player who has a future in English football. Douglas Costa, I rate him a lot as a player, but if I look at his age, we are bringing in another Willian. We are bringing in another bunch of deadwood players, and what we are trying to do right now is to clear out deadwood. If you're getting Hector Bellerin out, give us 20 million, give us 25 million or 30 million, take the player, because we know Juventus, they are very good at refining talents like like Hector Bellerin. They're going to revive him, and probably, of course, they can't win the Champions League with him, but they will win the Serie A. But I don't agree that they should give us money and a player. They should give us cash if they want his signature. That is in my opinion. What do you think? Now, this is which publication this saying Arsenal have reignited their interest in 23-year-old Hudson Edouard. Celtic have offered the striker to the Gunners at 22 million with his contract expiring next year. Arsenal reportedly see the Frenchman as a striker, the French striker, as a replacement to Alexander Lacazette. This was according to the Transfer Podcast. They were speaking about it yesterday, and actually I remember listening to or watching Harry Symeou on the Chronicles of the Gunner, and he was saying how credible the Transfer Podcast workers are. But look, I don't get it. I don't know how Celtic have slept to an extent that Olsen Edward has 1 year left on his contract, and probably if he doesn't move in this summer, then next summer is going to be a free agent, or he's going to be a little bit, not a little bit, but a whole lot cheaper in the January transfer of 2022. But first of and foremost, one of the things I like about Edward, he's consistent. I like strikers that are really consistent. If that is one of the things that I would consider if I was going to put money on the table for his services. Very consistent striker. He has 15 goals this season, and he is struggling, by the way, and the club is struggling. So you could see he's more like a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Arsenal last season. He scored 20 goals and we were struggling, and just imagine if the whole team had risen up to their expectations. Probably Aubameyang could have scored 30 or 35 goals in that season. So one of the things I really rate about Olsen Edward is that consistency. He really scores the goals, and we need someone who scores the goals. We need someone who can tell Aubameyang, you know what, if you're not scoring, I'm gonna show you how you hit the back of the net. And Alexander Lacazette doesn't do that. Edin Ketia doesn't do that. There were rumors that there were suggestions that we should offer Edin Ketia plus cash to Celtic. I don't think Celtic will agree to that deal. The reason is clear. Arsenal is in a financial predicament, but Celtic are far worse than Arsenal, so they need money. They need to revive their squad. They need to reinvest in their squad, and they desperately need money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be selling a player like Olsen Edward at 20 million, 15 million, 17 million. This is a player who's been scoring goals for fun for the past 3 seasons, and everybody's looking at him, and all of us know the couple of clubs that will be needing strikers. Liverpool, for Christ's sake, you need a striker. They need a striker. Arsenal need a striker. Of course, Chelsea, it's a little bit debatable if Thomas Tuchel believes in Tammy Abraham, Olivier Giroud, and Timo Werner, then they might not go for a striker. But if he doesn't believe in 2 of those, and who I think I don't think Tammy is class, is super class. I also don't think Olivier Giroud still has a future at Chelsea. So I would suggest that they sign a striker. That is my suggestion. I think Manchester City will want a striker in the summer. Definitely, they have played the whole season without a striker. They are using Mahrez as a false 9, Ilkay Gundogan as a false 9, Kevin De Bruyne as a false 9. Everybody has played as a false 9 for Pep Guardiola, and they are doing it. With all the due respect, to that club and the setup of Pep Guardiola, but I don't know how Celtic will explain to themselves that they are selling such a talent at 22 million. It's like how Red Bull Salzburg sold Erling Haaland. What was that price tag again? Was it 7 or 17 million? And now Dortmund are gonna sell him at around 100 million pounds. That is crazy profit. That is crazy, absolutely. Profits shooting through the roofs, and it would be a very good deal for Arsenal. Very, very nice one, I would say. Now, lastly, on Folarin Balogun, I'll speak more about Folarin Balogun when I address Mikel Arteta's press conference. He did it very early, and I'll react to it today. But he spoke about Balogun, and this is according to League Group. They're saying Folarin Balogun's camp wants around 40k per week, and also playing time for him to stay at Arsenal. Now, let me make this clear so that you guys could know my thoughts on Folarin Balogun playing for Arsenal regularly. Yeah, I think he needs playing time. He needs a chance, but he is not special to get playing time out of the blue. He needs to work for it. Players like Bukayo Saka worked for playing time. If you look at some of the young players that were rising through the ranks for the past 5 years, Saka was not there. It was you expected players like Emily Smith Rowe, Edin Ketia, Jazza Willock, Reece Nelson. And now you can see Saka and Gabriel Martinelli are all ahead of Willock. They're ahead of Reece Nelson because they have proven that they need this kind of, this kind of attention. They need the playing time. And Saka has proven, to a point that he's now the most important player in the Arsenal, team right now. Not so many young players are doing that, and I think I would rate him as so clear from players like Jesse Lingard, so clear from players like Mason Greenwood right now. Probably I would say he's aspiring to become to reach the levels of Phil Foden. Now Balogun needs to show us that I'm this kind of player who's gonna fight for my position at Arsenal. You're fighting with players like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who has scored 20 plus goals for the past 3 seasons. You just can't replace him. Even if it's Alexander Lacazette, he's a little bit more reputable than you are. And 40k per week. Well, I don't know because unless we get rid of Lacazette, we get rid of Edin Ketia, that means we shall have one striker left, that's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Retain Balogun, and then you bring in a player like Oden Edouard. I think that would be a fair deal. But anyway, I'll see what Mikel Arteta said, and we shall react more on Balogun, there. So that is what is actually, breaking around Arsenal. Not much, really, not much. But I promise I'm gonna be doing a couple of stories as things do unfold around us, and especially the transfer rumors that have started kicking in. It is just March, and you can see how we are linked with players. Transfer rumors flying here and there. I don't expect it to be a huge transfer window for us, especially by the fact of that our financial situation is not the best. It has never been the best, I'm telling you. But now with COVID-19 as an excuse, I think the board is going to try to tell us that we can't sign 5 players or 4 players because of COVID. But I expect it to be a window where we're going to clear out a lot of deadwood still, just like the January transfer window, and we might do those very important signings. Probably retain Odegaard. That would be for me that would be key, very, very key. Retaining Martin Odegaard from Real Madrid, of course, with rumors that Zinedine Zidane is going to stay at Real Madrid. Probably that would give us an upper hand on Martin Odegaard, because the two do not actually feel comfortable working around each other, and for us it's a big advantage. It's like the ball has been thrown into our hands. It's us to throw it in the net or actually miss the target. Apart from that, actually, I don't think there is much to talk about. Else. We don't have so many injuries ahead of Burnley, but I'll be tackling that in the match preview, and that should drop today as well. I think I have a lot of work to do. But if I can't drop it today, then I'll drop it tomorrow in the morning. The match preview, Burnley up against Arsenal, a fixture we must win. I mean, it should be an easy one, none. So I'll speak to you in the next one. Smash a like on the video. Bye bye.